face so that they have less life. Those are really like the 3 rules that when I've played with Ike, he simplifies everything by picking out the right one of those 3 questions and inserting it into the situation. And it really helped me just understand very simple decks that he builds. You know, he loves to build mid-range style decks and just do cool stuff. Like when everyone was playing combo Shutterwalk decks, he was playing a Fungal Mancer Corpse Taker Shutterwalk deck and just trying to set up a big board and attack you.
Yep. And he is slowly building a very dedicated fan base as well. So if you guys are on the Ike train, let's get some We Like Ikes in chat, complete with Wrench Girl. Don't forget the Wrench Girl, it's essential. But he's going to kick it off here on the Odd Rogue.
Core centerpiece of the Ike fandom.
It really is. He's going to kick it off with the Odd Rogue mirror. But Ike is going first here, which I'm sure he will be delighted about.
Yes, the attacker's advantage is pretty paramount when it comes to this matchup. It's usually the player who can dictate that first trade ends up doing so for a large portion of the game.
Oh, oh, the 1 damage. Oh, I'm so pleased.
Well, this is a big part of this playgroup too. Is like Ike could kill this minion, but that's really on Qwerty to have to do that as well. He's the one who really needs to take this out. You know, if he just goes ahead and trades into this Dire Mole, you're looking at the exact same things that take out your Crystallizer here. Now, it does open him up to the one opportunity that Qwerty would have to do something about this, which is coin Tar Creeper. But the coin is a very valuable tool in the matchup, and you don't want to waste it making plays like that oftentimes.
Yeah, I think in this situation, if your opponent coined a Tar Creeper here, that would be a poor play for them. And what you have done is you have forced them to be stubborn and make a bad play. And that is a real thing. When you make that attack as the aggressor in this matchup, that annoys your opponent. And they will try and do everything they can to not send that trade back the other way and give you that 1 free damage.
I'm annoyed just looking at it.
Yeah, and if that makes them make a bad play, well then bully for you, all the better. As you can see, as it turns out, Qwerty does just suck it up and make the trade, and that was 1 free damage, which might seem minor, but every now and again, that 1 damage is going to be the difference between lethal and not lethal,
That's
and we will keep our eye on it.
Yep. I like aggro decks for that specific reason. Trying to squeeze out every single point of damage imaginable at every opportunity. You're like, well, maybe I can deal just 1. Think about the number of times you've been sitting there and you go, I just need 1 more damage.
Forsen made a literal streaming career off it. He was 1 damage off lethal.
A number of times.
Yeah.
Talking about Qwerty a bit, a couple of top 16s around the past couple of years. To tour stop in Austin earlier this year, made top 16 at in 2017. It was a DreamHack in Denver, as well as a top 32 at the tour stop in Montreal, and a former competitive Scrabble player.
Nice. We were talking about competitive Scrabble earlier.
We were. I was memeing about it. He's got a 3rd place finish in the school Scrabble national championships in 8th grade and a 4th place finish in 7th grade. So progressively got worse with words as he got older, much like myself.
That guy would see Lakiest in a second. Qwerty would find Lakiest in a heartbeat.
I mean, just to name yourself after the Qwerty keyboard.
Right. Oh, I'm seeing that.
You got to be super keen with the words there.
You're a genius.
No, I'm not. I'm just observing. I just pictured the keyboard.
Observe this vicious fledgling and debate with me whether or not we cold blood this Tar Creeper.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question. Would you like a 5/5 Tar Creeper or a 1/5 Tar Creeper?
Thank you, Ike. I would quite like more stats on my Tar Creeper and for my opponent's Tar Creeper to be dead.
And also Cobalt Scalebane, talking about Ike fandom, he was really one of the first people who championed for this card and how strong of a card it was.
Yeah.
And at the time he was doing it, it absolutely was the case. It's not really so much the case anymore, but it's a card that I have found Ike will include in decks just because. Right. He just likes it.
Right. I think that was the one possible turn Qwerty could have had there on the clapback that really gave Ike's play problems, was exactly Deadly Poison SI7. I guess he could have done similar things with Deckhand, but it just wouldn't have been as efficient. But yeah, the SI7 agent to kill the 7-2 was enormous for Qwerty. Necessary, in fact, or else that Flappy Bird was just going to run riot over the rest of the game.
And this, to me, right here, this situation feels like why Odd Rogue is such a problematic deck for so many decks, is when you're fighting on these curves, the 2-damage dagger does a hell of a job of helping you do that. And every single time there's a couple of 1-attack minions out, you're thinking Fungal Mancer, you're thinking Cobalt Scalebane, and you're thinking, how do I stop them from doing that? Oh my gosh, it's going to cost me a lot of good turns otherwise.
Yeah. I know there's been a hot new list going around in Vogue with what's the name of the card? Snapjaw Shell Fighter, is that the right guy?
That's exactly what Qwerty has in the 5 slot.
With which is a huge body. But when I first saw people playing that, I was like, oh yeah, cool, that makes sense. You know, it makes your board hard to remove, and it's also just an amazing target for Fungalmancer and Cobalt Scalebane. But then I was talking to Raven about it, and Raven's like, well, Scalebane's like the card you cut to fit it in there. I was like, but come on. You just make like a 3/8 and then get a Scalebane buff on it? Like, are you kidding me? That's insane.
I really feel like a 3/8 with any buff on it is going to be good. I'll take anything at that point. Oh, Deadly Poison. That's what I'd say that's one of the key cards in the matchup too. Is just being able to hack through the Hench Clan thugs, the vicious fledglings.
Yeah, I think it's one of the key cards in the early game. So the early game cards are like the 3-drops, are the aggressive 3-drops like Hench Clan Thug and Flappy Bird. And then there's these auxiliary cards, which are like Deadly Poison, Tar Creeper, because they can mess with your opponent's aggressive 3-drops and put walls in the way or Deadly Poison them down. And also, South Sea Deckhand can kind of do that job as well. I do think Deadly Poison trails off a little bit in the later stages of the game. Ike's problem now is that Deadly Poison isn't really a gas draw, which is what he needs. Because if these two board states, if these two hands just resolve down to 0, if Qwerty just trades his cards with Ike's cards, Qwerty has Myra's left to rip after that, and Ike is going to have serious problems overcoming that.
Yeah, the thing I'm noticing, though, is that Qwerty, if he wants to cut these cards down to nothing, that's a lot of damage you take to do that.
Sure. Like, you could literally just Leroy Deadly Poison this turn, or Leroy Deckhand this turn. Leave the 2 1/1s on the board and just trust that your refill is better than your opponent's, which it is if they don't have Myra's.
That's true. I mean, you know that one of Ike's cards is the Flame Elemental from the Firefly.
Yep.
You got a mystery card at the other spot. But that mystery card just, it feels like it's something with the way that this game went. Like, it feels like it's one of those, like a Baku Vile spot. It's that super polarized range where it's either a really good card or a really bad card.
Mm-hmm.
Why would Ike hold the Flame Elemental?
I mean, for me, I'm just looking at, if I'm Qwerty here, I'm looking at this hand and saying, well, what's my advantage here? What's the good part of my hand? I think the good part of his hand is Myra's. Now, if he's going to play Myra's, he's going to need to be at least not too far behind on board, which then leads me this turn to strongly consider just a full clear here, as miserable as it might end up being. Because this now, you just pass back and just say, well, that's another turn where I'm just behind on board by a long way.
And that's a spicy pickup. It doesn't seem like much, but just the fact that you're getting a body down.
Yep.
I could hold on to the Vile Spine as well. Says I want to handle the next minion efficiently. I'm really actually surprised that Ike chose to hang on to this Vile Spine, given the fact that he had Deadly Poison as the remainder. Because to me, that smells like enough damage to get the job done.
Who goes there?
Could be coming down to what kind of reads he has on this very awkward hand from Qwerty. He knows one card is the coin, but again...
Oh boy.
Oh, hello.
Oh boy.
Well, that might just be the last little shred of candlelight extinguished from Qwerty's hopes of winning this game. Because the way this is going to pan out from here is even if he does get to cast Myra's, he's going to cast it from behind on board, and then Ike is going to be able to come straight back with a Myra's that will just fish for lethal.
Yeah, you're not coming back from that. I mean, Ike's sitting at 23, got more than enough damage showing. I can't even imagine what would have to peel off this deck in order to win.
None of that.
Yeah, none of that.
I'm out of cards.
About to be out of life, too. I think Qwerty put up a good fight in this one, but, you know, when Odd Rogue hands are drawn fairly evenly, the player who's going first ends up with a massive advantage if the hands are even. As Qwerty's side, you need Ike to have a miss. Yeah. Able to capitalize on that. Now we're rolling into the Hybrid Hunter from Qwerty taking on Ike's Dragon Priest. And I can tell you what, this exact matchup is one of the reasons that Priest is looking good right now.
Yeah, I think we brought this up all the way back at the start of Europe playoffs last week, where Priest was our buy or sell segment in the intro, and there was a overwhelming buy across the board, I believe, because just the combination of some minion presence that can fight honestly for a while, plus Dustbreaker, plus Psychic Scream, plus some burst damage to end the game, so that Deathstalker Rexar can't climb the Hunter deck back into it. It's just the perfect recipe for crushing some Rexar.
And look at that hand.
Woo! That's the juice right there.
Oh, wow.
Is someone injured?
Add in a little bit more of that juice. Ike is not a hold on to minions kind of gamer, though.
Oh, no, 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 no.
I have held on to some Northshire clerics in my time playing some decks with Ike, and it upsets him when I hold on to minions. And I go, but I want to hold it for and he goes, yeah, I know you do, but it upsets me. It upsets me too, Ike.
I can actually hear it in his voice. That's what's making me laugh.
Master's Call on 3. I think this is a huge boost in the win rate if Qwerty's going to win the matchup. It's just having extra juice to fight with.
Yeah, he's just already a long way behind on board, though.
That's not necessarily the worst thing in the matchup. I mean, we are seeing Northshire Cleric and Wild Pyromancer be the two minions used.
Yeah.
So if you're able to fight these off effectively, that's a world of difference where the middle of the game is concerned for Ike. I think Priest thrives on card draw to some degree.
I wonder how committed Ike is here. He's just going to go for the Divine Hymn play now. I was wondering whether he just
is it, or is the Twilight Drake?
I think if you're coining your Divine Hymn, yeah.
Okay.
This makes sense.
And if you're Divine Hymning, you're Lesser Healing.
Picks up the Scale Worm as well. But yeah, I was wondering about just committing the extra 2/4 to the board. Maybe just like buffing the attack of the Northshire Cleric.
It's right before the flanking strike turn as well.
Yeah.
Crucial.
And then in that way, like if it survives, you then have a bigger Divine Hymn on the following turn. And it also puts more stats into play. So if your opponent, having just Masters called, goes for their like Hyena Springpaw combination, then you have more stats in play to just be able to contest that very nicely without having to use something additional from hand. Is this a value trading Huffer?
Ooh, that's scary. And honestly, this is the benefit you get for playing in an aggressive manner, really, at all, is you put your opponent to the test of having to have the right card. Obviously it's right into Qwerty's flanking strike turn. It's the times he doesn't have flanking strike, this play ends up looking so much better. I think that it, is in the reality of the situation. I don't think there's anything wrong with curving a Northshire Cleric into a Wild Pyromancer. It looks really good when you get this outcome, though. Your opponent on 4 mana plays Animal Companion and then says go.
Ike is going to go Shadow Visions here. He could have just, respected the value trade, said, well done, congratulations, you got your value trade. I'm just going to start again with the Twilight Drake. That was definitely a valid play as well.
I think with Scale Worm in hand, he feels safe. And then, this is a form of card draw. You just eliminated a 4/1.
I can see that one.
Didn't really have to do anything.
I guess with Twilight Drake as well, being the only additional dragon alongside the Dustbreaker, that's a concern as well, that he wants to hold on to it.
Yes. Saw that earlier in round 1. Got to hang on to dragons.
Oh, yes, we did. Yeah.
This Wild Pyromancer is doing work.
Yep. Is Venom Strike enough to bring out the Duskbreaker here? Probably not.
Wow.
Ike's going to get greedy with it.
I want to say impressed by the discipline, but honestly, this just feels like borderline reckless to me at this point, where you're just like, screw it. Minions on board, who cares?
I mean, what's this 2/2 going to do to you?
It's a good point. The benefit of it, again, is that Ike has seen the back-to-back turns here from Qwerty. They have not been good.
Nope. He's just making 3 health Hyenas at the moment as well because of the lack of Springpaw in his hand. So that's just Dustbreaker food. Yeah, and this is exactly the kind of situation that, again, just continues to baffle me with this deck. Like, I struggle so much to get myself to do that play, even though I'm looking at it and, like, it feels right, but I have things in my hand to play.
The evolution in Saddle's phase went from Yeah, Master's Call. It looks. No, I don't get it.
But I have minions. I want to play those.
But it's like, so picture the Scavenging Hyena, right?
Yeah.
It just takes all the minions and sticks them onto that one. It's like you played a minion, then it played Blessing of Kings, but the Blessing of Kings also drew you some cards.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a noise as if I had some dawning revelation, but that was just nonsense.
Well, I know the noise for you.
Good. All right.
Just every time you see that happening, picture that noise.
Okay.
And what you think about when your opponent does it, where you go,
Scaleworm coming in clutch. Taking care of the big boy Hyena. Pyromancer number 2. Qwerty's just woken up in Groundhog Day this morning. There was a Pyromancer tormenting him through the early turns. He finally dealt with it, and now it's just back again with a vengeance. Qwerty's got to live through it all again.
yikes. I just feel for Qwerty here. He ran into a lineup that, you know, one significant change to the way the mirror matchup worked. It was the warrior, the odd warrior in replacement of the even warlock that Ike has, just completely changes the dynamic of how the matchup works. And, you know, the Hunter deck now just run into some bad matchups.
Qwerty burned his Wandering Monster there. I guess that decision is to burn any random secret as opposed to the next card in his deck, because he could have played Freezing Trap first, then played the Subject 9, then drawn 3 secrets, filled up his hand, but that then means he burns the next card in his deck, which could be Deathstalker Rexar, for example. So I think that's a conscious decision on his part that he would rather lose a random secret than the next card.
And I can break that down for you very well. Secrets equal bad, cards in deck equal good.
Thanks, Ike.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Like that's the worst part of the Hunter deck is the actual secret cards. All the rest of the cards are quite strong.
Yes.
The only reason you really play the secrets is because the Spellstone gets even better when you're doing that.
Something else I want to talk about, by the way, that second Shadow Visions that I believe Ike used to proc a Pyromancer, get a bit of a clear going. He took a Mind Blast off it, and I believe Scream and Holy Fire were the other options he was offered. No Alexstrasza in hand, no Anduin in hand, no real significant pressure. He just took the Mind Blast.
He's got to play. Well, the significant pressure, I think, is really the lack of Qwertys.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
That's like, I feel like, again, one of the reasons that Priest thrives so much in this matchup is whether it's able to take the lead or simply stop Qwerty from taking one.
Right.
Parity is a very good thing for Priest as far as this matchup is concerned. Ike is very comfortable as long as Qwerty is not pressuring him out. And struggling here to figure out which one of these minions he'd rather isolate due to the Freezing Trap in hand. Would you rather give your opponent back a Twilight Drake, which is a bigger minion, or would you rather give him back the Twilight Acolyte, which threatens Activate again? First bits of damage. Ooh.
Say it. I know you want to.
This crowd's getting roasted.
That wasn't what I meant, but good enough. I want you to do, this is what dragons are supposed to do. I wanted that bit.
My canned dragon spiel.
Yeah.
I'm not your clown to deliver on demand. This is what dragons should do, breathe fire and eat things jokes.
Oh, you're just my Hearthstone jukebox. Just put a quarter up your nose. Press A12. It's a Bill Hicks bit for those wondering.
Yeah, it was the image of, once again, coins going in.
Yeah, I don't think the coin went in the nose when Bill Hicks told it.
I know that.
Yeah.
That's... I'm going to stop. Freaking Sottle. Say the things! Say the things!
Sorry, was that me? Just to be clear?
Well, that's what it sounded like in my head.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Meddlesome insects.
That's what... Exactly what Duskbreaker said, Sottle.
Yeah.
Exactly what Duskbreaker said.
You trying to say that casting with me feels like getting your 5 minion board Duskbreakered at all times?
With the meddlesome insects part.
Yeah. Gotcha. Right.
Zul'jin, though.
Yeah, the refill is there, but Ike has a bit of removal to spare at this point. He still has that Psychic Scream
Just a
packing
tad
everything
of
up.
it, I guess. Yeah. His hand is so good.
I'm glad you don't say tad bit. Most Americans say tad bit, and that annoys me.
Here comes
Because both of those words mean the same thing.
They say tad bit?
Yeah. It's a very British word, tad, and y'all use it incorrectly.
I was gonna make a y'all joke
I know.
about you being
Yeah.
me being glad you said y'all. It was such low hanging fruit. I decided to not go with it.
I know.
You just know everything, don't you?
Pretty much.
Do you think Zul'jin feels the same way you do about casting Master's Call, where he's seeing all the minions happen? He's like, I'll just play him anyway.
I think he's more okay with it than I am. I think Ike is even more okay with this Psychic Scream coming down.
That's some rough beats there for Qwerty too. It's not only the board gets swept, it's that now there are 6 bad draws in the deck.
Yeah. 6 draws that are not Deathstalker Rexar, for example.
Yes.
Thundra Rhino, though, can make some stuff happen. Three of those bad boys in your deck will get some work done.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking this is a go face kind of Rhino. I think trade here is foolish. You got to get something done. And with 2 kill commands in hand, I think this is the direction at this point.
You're right.
No crowds to be roasted at this point.
I think that was the only real consideration from the trade on the previous turn, was that it's a Nausea Cleric getting freezing trapped, which is extremely low value. But now Tundra Rhino number 1 goes down to the Cabal Twilight Acolyte combo. And again, Qwerty just finds himself turn after turn just behind on board against a deck that he really needs to be pressuring as much as possible.
Well, that could be a good one.
Yeah, we're cooking now.
That one's not so good.
That's less cookie.
I'm curious if there's ever a benefit to attacking and then using it.
I was just about to raise that same point.
Because if you get Windfairy, you get to attack. The only time you're punished is if you get 3
Plus
attacks
attack.
or +1/+1.
Yep.
As your 2 stronger options.
I think +1/+1, you can write that loss off. I think +3 is the one that really hurts. But Stealth being the one that you do get to then pick up afterwards is a really, really big deal in terms of trying to get that Huffer to attack again.
But the 3 damage was just so very relevant here.
Yeah.
I must consider.
I wonder about this Mind Blast in hand from Mike. I brought it up many, many turns ago. It could have been another Holy Fire.
You're making a lot of sense. Bootleg Ice Block would be looking mighty good right now.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about it right up until this moment,
It
too.
lives.
For those of you who missed last week, Sottle referred to Holy Fire as Bootleg Ice Block, where it's just sometimes instead of dying, you don't.
I love the pop on the B that just perfectly illustrates your disdain for that name.
That's years of practice.
Yeah. Then again, what do I know? There's every chance that Ike just ends this game with Mind Blast in a turn or two.
I was like, no. Knowing the way that just he tends to play the game, it's like, why activate one of these secrets right now? You know what they are. It's Snake Trap and Venom Strike Trap. You don't really have an option other than to go face.
Right.
The game turns into a race right now.
It's gonna hurt.
Ike's board's a lot better than Qwerty's is. And now the rewards of those face attacks are being reaped.
The value of going face. Your opponent's kill command does the thing that they don't want it to be doing, shooting a minion.
And that 1 kill command down is worlds of difference where Ike is concerned.
Sure is.
And life total safety. You're looking at a 15 damage turn from Qwerty next turn with what's on board, plus the kill command in hand. So it would take a draw to unlock that additional damage. So from Ike's side,
I wonder.
single hero power pull, you had a range of that.
Yep. Ike has some lethal outs himself here this turn with the Fire Tree Witch Doctor as well, if he wants to go down that road.
What does it cost you in terms of the rest of your mana, though? Sounds like worth the risk to me. Spirit Lash
is business, yeah.
can pull you way out of range, too. Mind Games offered potential lethal with the...
Oh, the Tundra Rhinos. Yeah.
Oh, he's activating the snake trap for the old Spirit Lash.
And then Cabal Shadow Priest alongside this Spirit Lash as well. This is just a best case scenario turn.
Oh, it has charged too, because it's Thunder Rhino. What a weird turn.
Yep. That ain't Falco.
That was the way Animal Companion worked. It'd be a much different card. Ike up 2-0, but again, these were the two decks that did not really have a question mark as far as I was concerned. You know, the lineup of Hybrid Hunter. Qwerty's got all three of the decks remaining and is going to have to do some work. It's tough, but it's not impossible.
See straight away one of the differences in the build Ike is choosing to run here. Those two copies of Timberwolf that he's packing. No such card over on Qwerty's side.
I'm trying to find exactly what that is in place of. Looks like a copy of Candle Shot and the copy of Hunter's Mark. Ike actually has no Hunter's Mark in the list. And that is very interesting to see. You know, Hunter's Mark, it certainly is a card that doesn't operate super well against aggro decks. But against other decks, it's quite important. I'm just going to tempo the Timberwolf.
Yeah, no, I love this. He played Springpaw on turn 1. It did not get candle shot by his opponent. And so here we are. More 1-health minions on the board. Hit you.
Qwerty playing the Venom Strike trap here.
Call the bluff. Call the bluff.
It's Ike. He's going to call the bluff.
Yeah.
But the point is the quickness of it is, I think, the one way that this bluff could have succeeded. If he waits forever and then does it, I don't think it ever works. And you notice Ike obviously pays heed to it by using the Animal Companion after the fact.
Just to clarify for that one guy in Twitch chat right now, that is not an order lol moment. He tested for the explosive trap with exactly 1 attack and then got max damage out of the follow-up attacks. It was the optimal way to play the turn.
So yeah, like Saddle said, definitely missed a damage.
Incorrect Hearthstone casting quotes.
Get on it. Wow.
Just has to flanking striker Timberwolf.
I never want to do that. There's a lot of things I do want to flanking strike.
Oh, like a 3/3 wolf from your opponent's flanking strike.
That is dirty. And honestly, this is just why Ike plays for tempo. When your opponent doesn't have the ideal draw, which they usually don't,
you play your biggest stuff and you go face.
And it just works. I don't get it. It's very weird to watch, and it just works.
All right, so the Misha is an important role for Qwerty here because it does allow him to get a little bit of extra investment out of that trap that he played on turn 2. That is a Venom Strike trap, I believe. So that will spawn that extra 2/3, but there is just more gas coming out of the tank on the Master's Call for Ike.
I'm curious about this coming turn, though, because, you know, Freezing Trap set up in hand for Ike versus the Crackling Razor Maw. This means a lot of different things.
Who to shoot?
I strongly dislike just Freezing Trapping this turn. Razor Maw pushes more damage most of the time and puts an extra 3/2 in play.
He had me at 3/2 in play.
Yeah.
Oh. Wind Fury as well.
Yes.
That is a lot of damage.
Yes, it is.
That is not good for Qwerty.
10 to face this turn. There is a 2/3 poisonous on board that will take care of the immediate problem, but there are so many more problems that need dealing with right now.
I think Qwerty needs a Wind Fury of his own to just stay alive.
Wind Fury on the poison guy. He gets it, and now he can kill commands to get the full clear. But he's still just so far behind. Rexar is not in hand. Ike will understand here that Rexar is the card he can lose to. So I'm sure that will be his calculation. What's my best play against Rexar? Because that's the only thing that beats me from this position.
Well, the answer to that is kill them before they draw Rexar.
I guess so. This is it. One draw, Rexar or bust. It's bust. 3-0, Ike.
Wow.
Unfortunately, no secret that gives you armor. Ike, as quick as you like. 3-0 win over Qwerty. And once again, he's rubbing it in our faces. He tweeted us to say that we should have picked him for predictions. It was a disgrace.